Don't ignore this psalm. Not because something terrible is about to happen. Not because you are late. Not because God is impatient with you. But because your soul has been carrying more noise than it was created to hold. If you are honest, silence has become uncomfortable. Stillness feels unproductive. Rest feels undeserved. Your days are filled with alerts, decisions, expectations, comparisons. Your nights are filled with unfinished thoughts. Even when you stop moving, your mind keeps running. This is the world Psalm 46 speaks into. Not a quiet world, not a peaceful one, but a shaken one. God is our refuge and strength, a very present help in trouble. This psalm does not begin by asking you to be strong. It begins by reminding you where strength actually comes from. Refuge is not escape. Refuge is not denial. Refuge is a place you return to when the ground feels unstable. Modern life teaches you to manage anxiety, to control outcomes, to stay ahead of fear. Psalm 46 teaches something radically different. It teaches dependence. It acknowledges trouble without dramatizing it. It names fear without feeding it. It introduces God not as distant help, but as present help, very present. Not after you figure everything out. Not after you calm yourself down. Not after you prove your faith. Present now. This is why this psalm is a quiet reminder from God. It does not shout. It does not rush you. It does not threaten consequences if you ignore it. It simply places truth beneath your feet. Therefore we will not fear, though the earth give way. This line is not poetic exaggeration. It is spiritual realism. Because sometimes what feels like anxiety is actually the fear of losing control. And sometimes what feels like exhaustion is the weight of pretending you still have it. Psalm 46 does not deny that things can fall apart. It says that even if they do, you are not abandoned inside the collapse. This psalm is not about avoiding storms. It is about discovering what remains unshaken within them. If your heart feels tired tonight, this psalm is not asking you to fix anything. It is asking you to listen. Slow your breathing. Let the pace change. Nothing is being demanded from you here. This psalm is a quiet reminder from God. And before a single instruction is given, before any call to stillness, before the famous words are spoken, you are reminded of this. You are not holding the world together. The problem is not that you feel anxious. The problem is that you were taught to hide it. In the modern world, fear is often dressed up as responsibility. Exhaustion is praised as dedication. Rest is postponed until everything is solved. But nothing is ever fully solved. There is always another decision, another demand, another thing that could go wrong. Psalm 46 does not shame this reality. It enters it. Therefore we will not fear, though the earth give way, though the mountain be moved into the heart of the sea. This is not abstract poetry. It is a description of internal chaos. Because when your inner world feels unstable, it can feel like the ground itself is shifting. What once felt secure no longer does. What once made sense now feels fragile. Careers shake. Relationships strain. Bodies grow tired. Faith feels quieter than it used to. Psalm 46 does not rush to fix these things. It stays with you inside them. There is something deeply modern about this psalm, not because it mentions technology or speed, but because it speaks to a nervous system under constant pressure. You are expected to be alert at all times, available, responsive, prepared. Even prayer can start to feel like another task, another thing to do correctly. But Psalm 46 refuses to turn God into another demand. Instead, it introduces a different posture, presence. There is a river whose streams make glad the city of God. Notice what this image suggests. Not force, not urgency, but flow. A river does not argue with obstacles. It does not panic when the terrain changes. It continues. This is how God's presence is described, not as noise overpowering noise, but as a steady current beneath it. If your life feels loud, this psalm is not calling you to silence everything. It is inviting you to notice what has been flowing quietly all along. Many people misunderstand Psalm 46. They treat it as a verse to quote when things get bad, but it is more than reassurance. It is reorientation. It slowly shifts your attention from what is shaking to what remains, and this shift matters because anxiety feeds on constant scanning, always looking for threats, always preparing for collapse. Psalm 46 gently interrupts that habit, not by denying danger, but by changing where you stand. If you are listening to this while tired, while unsure, while quietly overwhelmed, this psalm is not disappointed in you. It is near. This psalm is a quiet reminder from God, and it is preparing you for words that will not rush you, words that wait, words that breathe, words that will arrive only when you are ready to hear them, before the words you are waiting for appear. Psalm 46 slows everything down. It does not rush to instruction. It creates space. God is in the midst of her. She shall not be moved. This is not a loud promise. It is a stabilizing one. In a world where everything feels temporary, this psalm introduces something that remains, not because circumstances improve, not because threats disappear, but because presence does not withdraw. Many people read Psalm 46 looking for reassurance that trouble will end, but the psalm offers something more subtle. It offers grounding. To be grounded does not mean to feel calm all the time. It means you are no longer floating in fear. When anxiety rises, it often pulls you into the future. What if this happens? What if it gets worse? What if I lose control? Psalm 46 gently brings you back, not backward, not forward, but here. The nations rage, the kingdoms totter. Chaos is acknowledged. Instability is named. Faith is not built on denial. It is built on truth. And the truth is that the world has always been unstable. What has changed is how constantly you are reminded of it. News travels instantly. Fear spreads quickly. Pressure never sleeps. Psalm 46 was written in a violent, uncertain world, and yet it refuses panic. He utters his voice. The earth melts. This line is not about destruction. It is about authority. Noise is not the strongest force in the room. Urgency is not the final word. God does not compete with chaos. Chaos dissolves in his presence, slowly, without spectacle. If your life feels dominated by what is loud, this psalm is reminding you that loudness is not power. Presence is. There's a moment in this psalm where the tone changes, not abruptly, not dramatically, but deliberately. The pace softens. The images widen. You are being prepared, not for action, but for stillness. Stillness not as passivity, but as trust. Many people fear stillness because when everything slows down, thoughts become audible, doubts surface, questions rise. Psalm 46 does not silence those things. It places them in context. The Lord of hosts is with us. The God of Jacob is our fortress. Notice the repetition. With us, not above you, not far away. With. This psalm keeps returning to that idea, as if you might forget, as if the world might convince you otherwise. This is why this psalm is a quiet reminder from God, because before you are asked to be still, you are reminded that you are not alone in the stillness. You are being led gently. The words you may know are coming, but they will not be forced. They will arrive when resistance has softened, when breathing has slowed, when listening has begun. Now, the psalm begins to speak more clearly, not louder, not faster, clearer. This is where many people expect instruction, something to do, something to change. Instead, Psalm 46 invites observation. Come, behold the works of the Lord. Before stillness is asked of you, you are invited to look, not at yourself, not at your failures, not at everything you wish were different, but at what God has already done. Modern life trains you to focus forward, on outcomes, on improvements, on what still needs fixing. Psalm 46 gently turns your attention backward, not to regret, but to remembrance, because faith weakens when memory fades. He makes wars cease to the end of the earth. This is not denial of conflict. It is perspective. Wars end, threats pass, empires fall. What feels overwhelming now will not remain forever, but the present speaking through this psalm does. There is a quiet humility in these words. They remind you that history is larger than your moment. Your anxiety feels personal, and it is, but it is not unique. Human fear has always existed. Human exhaustion has always existed. Psalm 4:6 was not written for people who had it together. It was written for people living under pressure. This is why it does not shame you. It does not tell you to calm down. It does not tell you to try harder. It asks you to see differently. He breaks the bow and shatters the spear. Notice what is being removed. Weapons, tools of defense, instruments of control. This psalm is not only about external peace. It is about internal disarmament. Because sometimes anxiety is the result of gripping too tightly, preparing for battles that are not happening, rehearsing arguments that never come, carrying defenses you no longer need. Psalm 46 imagines a moment where those weapons are laid down, not ripped away, but broken, as if to say, you no longer need them here. This is uncomfortable for many people because control feels like safety, but control is exhausting. This psalm is slowly guiding you toward release, not sudden surrender, not forced trust, but willingness. If you feel resistance as you listen, that is not failure, it is awareness. You are noticing how much effort you have been carrying. This psalm is a quiet reminder from God. And now, the words you may have been waiting for are close, not as a command, but as an invitation. Now, the psalm arrives at the words many people recognize. But if you are listening carefully, you will notice they do not arrive with force. They arrive after preparation, after grounding, after remembrance, after disarmament. Only then does the psalm speak. Be still and know that I am God. This is not a command shouted into chaos. It is an invitation spoken into trust. Stillness here does not mean silence. It does not mean inactivity. It does not mean pretending everything is fine. It means releasing the need to control what was never yours to hold. In modern life, stillness is misunderstood. It is confused with weakness, with laziness, with disengagement. But Psalm 46 presents stillness as awareness. To be still is to stop fighting reality, to stop rehearsing fear, to stop demanding certainty, and instead to notice presence. Be still and know. Knowing here is not intellectual. It is relational. It is not information about God. It is recognition of God. Many people try to think their way into peace. to reason themselves out of anxiety. But peace in this psalm does not come from explanation. It comes from surrender, not surrender as defeat, but surrender as rest. This is why these words feel threatening to some people, because stillness exposes how much effort has been spent holding everything together. Psalm 46 does not shame that effort. It honors it, and then gently asks you to set it down. I will be exalted among the nations. I will be exalted in the earth. This line is not about domination. It is about order. It reminds you that the world does not depend on your vigilance, that history is not balanced on your anxiety. God does not need your constant attention to remain God. This is where rest becomes possible, not because circumstances change, but because responsibility shifts. You are allowed to stop scanning for danger, allowed to unclench, allowed to breathe. Stillness is not something you achieve. It is something you allow. If you feel emotion rising here, that is not weakness. It is relief. This psalm is a quiet reminder from God, and if you need to hear it again, listen without hurry. Be still, not later, not when everything is resolved. Now, and simply know, stillness does not end when the words fade. This psalm does not invite you into a moment that disappears. It invites you into a way of living. The question becomes practical. What does it mean to be still? When the alarm rings tomorrow, when emails arrive, when decisions wait, when fear tries to speak louder than faith. Psalm 46 does not ask you to withdraw from life. It asks you to carry stillness into it, to pause before reacting, to breathe before responding, to remember presence before assuming danger. In modern life, anxiety often shows up as urgency, the feeling that everything is critical, that delays are dangerous, that rest is irresponsible. But stillness reframes urgency. It reminds you that not every thought deserves immediate action. Not every fear deserves attention. Not every problem belongs to you. To be still in practice is to notice when your body tightens, when your breath shortens, when your mind races ahead of reality, and then to choose awareness over reaction. This is not denial. It is discernment. Psalm 46 teaches you to recognize the difference. Fear demands instant response. Presence invites patient attention. One drains you, the other restores you. Stillness also changes how you make decisions. Instead of asking, "What if this goes wrong?" you begin to ask, "What remains true even if it does?" This shift is subtle, but it is powerful, because fear collapses when it is no longer in control of the question. Psalm 46 does not promise easy choices. It promises grounded ones, and grounded choices carry peace with them, even when they are difficult. If you are facing uncertainty, this psalm is not giving you a strategy. It is giving you posture. Stillness becomes a place from which you move, not passively, not blindly, but anchored. This is why the psalm repeats itself. The Lord of hosts is with us. The God of Jacob is our fortress. With us, in the meeting, in the conversation, in the waiting. Stillness is not something you retreat into. It is something you return to again and again. This psalm is a quiet reminder from God, and the more often you return, the less power urgency is over you. Peace stops being rare. It becomes familiar. Now the psalm begins to circle back, not to repeat out of habit, but to deepen what has already been planted. Repetition in Scripture is not redundancy. It is invitation. An invitation to let truth move from your thoughts into your body. The Lord of hosts is with us. The God of Jacob is our fortress. These words return because you forget them easily, not because you lack faith, but because the world is loud. Noise convinces you that you are alone, that you must figure everything out by yourself, that strength means constant effort. Psalm 46 quietly disagrees. It does not argue. It reminds. With us, this phrase is simple, and that is why it is powerful. God is not waiting for you at the end of your struggle. He is present inside it. Stillness becomes possible only when you stop believing. That abandonment is a default. Many people live as if peace is temporary and anxiety is normal. Psalm 46 reverses that assumption. It presents peace as the deeper reality and anxiety as the interruption. This is why returning matters. You do not listen to this psalm once. You return when fear resurfaces, when urgency tightens your chest, when rest feels unsafe. Each return strengthens familiarity, and familiarity reduces fear. The psalm does not change. You do. Stillness becomes easier to recognize, faster to access, not because life gets quieter, but because you learn where to stand. God is our refuge and strength, a very present help in trouble. Notice how the psalm ends where it began. Refuge, strength, presence. This circular movement is intentional because peace is not linear. It is rhythmic. You inhale trust. You exhale fear. Again and again. If you are listening late at night, let these words slow you down. If you are listening early in the morning, let them steady you. There is no rush to move on. Stillness is not fragile. It does not disappear when you stop listening. It stays, waiting for you to notice again. This psalm is a quiet reminder from God, and the more often you return to it, the more natural peace becomes. Not forced, not borrowed, but familiar. At this point, nothing new needs to be added. That is intentional. Psalm 46 has already given you everything necessary. Now it simply stays with you. Stillness deepens when explanation recedes, when words slow, when space widens. This is a kind of presence that does not compete for attention. It accompanies. If your thoughts drift as you listen, let them. You do not need to concentrate. You do not need to hold on tightly. Stillness does not require effort. It requires permission. Many people mistake peace for something fragile, something that must be protected from interruption. But the peace described in Psalm 46 is resilient. It exists even while thoughts come and go, even while the world continues. This is why the psalm could be returned to again and again. There is no expiration on its comfort. The Lord of hosts is with us. The God of Jacob is our fortress. Let the repetition do its work, not by convincing you, but by reminding you. A fortress is not something you carry. It is something you enter. You do not build it in a moment of panic. It already exists. Stillness is remembering where the door is. If you feel your breathing slow here, that is enough. If your shoulders release slightly, that is enough. Nothing else needs to happen. Psalm 46 does not rush toward closure. It allows rest to unfold. The world will still be there when this ends. Your responsibilities will return. Your questions may remain, but something subtle has shifted. You are no longer carrying everything alone. This psalm is a quiet reminder from God, and reminders do not push. They stay close. If you need to linger here, linger. If you need to listen again, listen. Stillness does not mind repetition. It welcomes it. Slowly, the psalm begins to release you, not abruptly, not by pulling you out of stillness, but by reminding you that you can carry this calm with you. Peace here is not an ending. It is a transition, a way of returning to the world without losing what you have received. Psalm 46 never demanded that you escape reality. It offered you a place to stand within it. And now, that place goes with you. You may notice sounds again. The room, your breathing, time moving forward. There is no need to resist that. Stillness is not broken by movement. It is expressed through it. If anxiety tries to return quickly, that does not mean this moment failed. It means you are human. Psalm 46 never promised a permanent emotional state. It promised a reliable presence. God is our refuge and strength, a very present help in trouble. This truth does not expire when the psalm ends. It becomes something you remember, and remembrance is powerful because what you remember determines how you interpret what happens next. You may return to tasks, to conversations, to responsibilities, but something is different. You are less reactive, more grounded, not because circumstances changed, but because perspective did. This is the quiet work of Psalm 46. It does not announce itself. It settles. If you listen to this while overwhelmed, let yourself re-enter slowly. There is no rush to catch up. The world can wait a moment longer. This psalm is a quiet reminder from God, and quiet reminders are meant to be returned to, not once, but whenever you need them. Stillness is not behind you. It walks with you. There is nothing you need to do to conclude this moment. No summary to memorize. No lesson to perform. Psalm 46 does not end with instruction. It ends with assurance. An assurance quiet enough that you might miss it if you are not listening gently. The Lord of hosts is with us. The God of Jacob is our fortress. This final return is not repetition for emphasis. It is repetition for rest. As if to say, you can stop holding this now. You do not need to carry these words forward by force. They will surface when needed. If you feel calmer than before, receive that without analysis. If you feel unchanged, receive that without judgment. Stillness does not always announce itself. Sometimes it simply reduces the noise enough for truth to be heard later. This psalm has been speaking beneath your awareness long before you noticed, and it will continue long after this moment passes. If this psalm met you at the right time, let that be enough. There is no requirement to respond publicly, no obligation to prove what you felt. But if you choose to, you may leave a quiet word below, not as a declaration, but as acknowledgement, a simple sign that you were here, that you listened, that you rested. This psalm is a quiet reminder from God, and quiet reminders are not meant to end. They remain, waiting patiently. For the next moment you need them. Nothing needs to be added here. The psalm has already done its work. This final space is not for instruction. It is for lingering. Sometimes the most meaningful endings are the ones that do not announce themselves. They simply soften. If you are still listening, let yourself remain exactly as you are. There is no urgency to move, no expectation to respond. Stillness does not demand closure. It allows presence to fade naturally into life. Psalm 46 does not rush you back into noise. It releases you slowly, with breath, with quiet, with trust. Be still and know that I am God. These words do not echo loudly. They settle. They stay beneath your thoughts, ready to surface when the world grows loud again. If this psalm found you tired, let it leave you rested. If it found you anxious, let it leave you steadied. If it found you searching, let it leave you accompanied. There is nothing left to prove, nothing left to solve, only something to remember. That presence does not leave. When the sound returns, that peace is not fragile, that you are not alone. This psalm is a quiet reminder from God, and when you return to it again someday, it will not feel unfamiliar. It will feel like coming home.